Plant has gone on a little field trip to the balcony to get some fresh air and some water and some sun. So that's where she is. I think it's about time for another Q&A. What about you? So the first question I'm going to answer real quick is what is on my lips, because I know I'm going to get asked that a lot. I'm actually just wearing a lip liner. This is the Jordana Easy Liner in Cabernet. Just had to give Jordana a little shout out because I love their products, cruelty free, and their lip liners are hella cheap. Okay, starting at the very top of the comment section, tips on how to stay positive and happy. If I only knew. No, honestly, what I like to do is, one, be grateful for the things that I have. I try and tackle one thing at a time instead of being overwhelmed by everything. And I also try really, really hard to live in the moment. Like earlier, I was kind of stressed out about my timing and if I'd have enough time to film today for the other things that I have to do. And I made a plate of nachos, which, you know, I have the dirty plate right next to me. And I sat down to watch America's Next Top Model and eat my nachos, and I just let the stress of the day go and just be like, you know what, I'm gonna enjoy this plate of nachos because I'm not gonna let the stress affect these nachos because they were good. What's your favorite eyeshadow palette you've ever owned? I'd say the Urban Decay Naked palette. I used that today. I've recently got back into that. I've hit pan on almost all the eyeshadows, so that's definitely my most used palette. What's your favorite time of day? Morning, night, sunrise, sunset? Definitely morning and the sunrise, although I'm never awake for it. What made you want bangs again? Honestly, Zoe London, I was watching her videos and I'm like, her bangs are so good. I'm like, wait a minute, I used to have bangs. And then I was like, wait a minute, why did I cut or grow them out? If you had Donald Trump right in front of you, what would you do? Nothing legal. Tips to be confident without makeup. Sometimes I don't feel like myself without it. Well, if you don't feel like yourself without it, then I say just wear it if it makes you feel confident. But I would say going without it, that's your true self. That is absolutely like who you are, and at least that's my opinion. I know some people would say who they are is, you know, with makeup on. It's honestly just doing whatever makes you most comfortable. But usually when I tell myself I'm going out in public without makeup on, I'm like, no one cares what I look like right now. Absolutely not one person cares. They're not looking at me twice. They're not like, oh God, she looks terrible. No one cares. So I don't care what people look like with or without makeup on. They're not gonna care about me. How do you not die from stress because of school? I know it's a lot sometimes, or so do you have any tips? Love you, by the way. Love you too. With school, honestly, okay, this sounds horrible, but it's honestly what's gotten me through my whole life of school. I don't take it that seriously. I know that's like really bad, and it's a serious thing to me. Like I would honestly be so mad at myself if I failed something, but to me, that is not the end of the world. I don't view it as something like, oh, if it doesn't work out or if I fail, it's not gonna, like, that's the end of my life or anything. To me, it's not that big a deal. That's not really a tip, but I would just say set aside a certain amount of time to study every week or do homework and then just move on. Like, live your other parts of your life. It depends how many units you take and how hard school is for you and how much you have to study before an exam. So it's all very subjective. But for me, I just try to live my other life and always have me time. Always, always, always make time for sleep and me time. That's how I don't die. What is the most important thing you have learned through your friendships? The most important thing I've learned about myself is that I used to be a very horrible listener. As much as I thought I was a great listener, that's why I went into psychology. So I've definitely learned how to properly listen and not just sit there and pretend like you're paying attention, but actually listen and, you know, reciprocate in conversation. I've learned the skills of that through my friendships, especially over the last 5 years. What made you decide to stop using animal cruelty products? It was definitely I was just thinking one night and I was like, why have I never seriously thought about it? I never thought exactly why I did use them or like why I didn't switch or anything. So I was like, I'm gonna try it. And I actually made the decision before ever announcing it on anything, just in case I decided not to stick with it. But once I started, I'm like, well, there's no way I can go back now. Like, that's weird. Why would I go back to... Sorry, I thought that guy that was walking was my mom's coworker and I was gonna be like, oh my god, he lives here! Top 3 favorite metal bands. Thank you so much for being an inspiration for me and many other people, by the way. I love you. Oh, thank you so much. I love you. Korn, Slipknot, System of a Down. Your favorite TV show at the moment? Definitely Making a Murderer, but I have heard rumors that Netflix actually edited the whole story and everything and left out parts on purpose to make it seem like more so, like he was less guilty or non-guilty or whatever. Would you rather have an extra leg or an extra arm? Arm, of course. I could do so many more things with my life and time if I had another arm. How would you describe your style and how has it evolved over the years? This is actually a question I didn't really answer in other Q&As, and I think it's because I didn't do enough reflection, but lately I've been thinking about it just, you know, in my free time. And I used to try and fit into a box of a certain style. I have talked about that before, but in my wear what you want video, which I'll link down below, but I definitely used to try really hard to fit in a certain style, and now I just kind of wear what I like, and I don't have one word or one way to describe my style because I shop from all over the place. I wear random clothes sometimes. I just wear what I like, and I care less and less as I get older and older about what other people think about what I have on my body, because you realize as you get older that means nothing to a lot of people. Like, who cares? What annoys you most about social media? I love this question. Well, I hate that everyone will believe anything on social media just because it's out there. I hate how influential it can be sometimes. However, that can be also one of the best aspects of social media. I don't like how influential it can be in a negative way when it comes to body image or bullying or just making others feel bad about themselves. It does have a huge power of doing that. There was actually a study, I think it was in Fiji, of young girls who had no really body issues before. They introduced television to them, and afterwards I think it was like 60% of them had developed eating disorders. So media has like a huge role in our body confidence and self-image, and so in a way it really bothers me, but at the same time we can't escape it. It's out there, it's part of my job, so How often do you have to cut your bangs? Any tips on how to make them not get greasy faster than the rest of your hair besides dry shampoo? And does studying psychology ever affect your relationships, like you try to psychoanalyze your friends? I cut my bangs about once every week or 2 weeks or so, and I do them myself. And as far as not making them get greasy, I do use dry shampoo religiously. However, if you don't want to use that, what I used to do when I had bangs before this time, I would wash them separately in the sink. I would legit just take all my bangs, put them in the water, do a little shampoo, and wash just my bangs. Psychology affect your relationships in the best way possible? Yes, it does. It honestly makes me a better listener. I understand a lot more from people, if that makes sense. I took a lot of cultural classes. You know, being more understanding of others' religion and cultural backgrounds is really important when you're studying psychology. So those have been my favorite classes to study, and I'm taking as many cultural classes as possible because I am white and I need to understand other ethnic backgrounds, also other sexualities, and religion is really big. Although I'm an atheist, I definitely am very understanding and non-discriminatory against any other religion. So in that way, it's helped my relationships. What's your favorite thing you know how to cook? Anything potato related. I can make a mean potato. I also love making spinach dip. That's so good. Usually when you do a major haircut, it signifies something has changed. What changed? Well, I think it was the move that honestly changed, and that's very true. I always change my hair when I have a big life change. So I think it was the move. I think I just needed something, like I was feeling kind of anxious and like antsy because I moved and it didn't change my hair, so I was like, I gotta do something. So it was a little delayed because of that, but that's what it was. Do you like to stay in Sacramento or move somewhere else in the US or new country? I've actually been thinking about it, and I do kind of want to move out of California just because the cost of living is so much. But I would definitely move to Oregon or Washington, particularly in a spot in Washington that didn't rain all the time, because I do get seasonal affective disorder. So if I don't have sunshine, it can really affect me, especially if it's year round, dear Lord. What is a weird habit your cat has? Mine is fascinated by and plays with water. Oh man, they both have weird obsessions with things. Pepe is obsessed with opening doors and cabinets. He won't do anything with it. He'll just open them. I'll come home sometimes, all the cabinets in the kitchen are open. If you don't believe in God, then what or who do you look up to when it comes to your morals and actions in life? Like, everyone should have a base, and what do you believe will eventually happen to us when we die? Well, I believe that when we die, we just die, and I know that's very negative, but for me it's really really not. It's just science and what happens. I don't think you have to have any one person to look up to for morals or to have a base. I think it has to do a lot with personality and where or how you were raised. My mom's Christian and she raised me with amazing morals, and I've always just been the good girl or whatever. But I never did any drugs, never drank or anything until I was legal to at 21. That's just how I've always been. So I think that you definitely don't need religion to have morals or a belief system, or, you know, you can be a good person without God. What stereotypes about psychology annoy you the most? Definitely on media or like in TV shows when they paint a picture of a psychologist or going to a therapist. It's always in a negative way, or they're quiet, or they're, I don't know, they always paint them a certain way. And if you've seen certain shows, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just always in a weird way that's not accurate at all. Who's your favorite Desperate Housewife? Also my favorite show. Well, hey. Definitely Brie. I think Brie, not so much in season 1, but as we watch her grow and like change throughout all the seasons, she is hands down my favorite Desperate Housewife. Describe the perfect husband for you. Well, I don't believe they exist, you know, like the perfect person for you. I don't believe in soulmates or, you know, there's someone for everyone kind of thing. Although there is someone for everyone, but it's not just one person. There's like a lot of people that you could end up with. My number one trait I look for in a significant other is sense of humor. They also have to respect me and everything about me and treat me really well as their equal. They have to be a feminist, of course. What is your biggest fear in life? I love this question because my answer would have changed a million times over the years, and it's so weird to think about now because it is nothing like what it would have been back in the day. My biggest fear used to be never getting married or never having a kid, never writing a book. Now my biggest fear is all about internal, like not being truly happy, or which I know is kind of like in the moment kind of thing, and also just not accomplishing my goals in life, which include helping people and being a psychologist. I would love to be a mother, but if that doesn't happen for me, then I'm okay with that. Marriage, it used to be so much more to me than it is now. Like, of course I'd love to be married, but if it doesn't happen for a while, I'm okay with that. If it's not traditional, I'm okay with that. I would not have been okay with that a couple years ago. You just learn to accept more things that may or may not happen the way you imagined it when you were younger. Do you have any strange, quirky habits as a child? Oh, you bet. I sucked my thumb until I was 11 or 13. I was 13. I also loved eating mushrooms out of our front yard. So I did that a lot. We know you love horror, but what genre of film do you like the least? Probably romantic comedy, although I own a few romantic comedies, but mostly because I liked them when I was younger, so now it's kind of nostalgia for me. According to you, what's the scariest thing about being an adult? Probably the expectation of being an adult and what comes along with it. You have to be this mature person when you start paying your own bills, and you have to have a job and probably get married at some point, maybe have kids too. Like, there's all these expectations that come with it when we really don't know what we're doing. We're just kind of like, okay, I'm just gonna live my life. On that note, do you ever feel like a kid still? I'm 24 and don't feel like an adult. Do you ever feel that way still? Or feel that way? No, I don't feel like a kid, but I don't feel 26. I definitely feel like 22, maybe. Would you rather have lunch with Sarah from 10 years ago or Sarah from 10 years from now? I would love to go back in time and tell my 16-year-old self, like, hey, you're gonna be fine, like, you're all right. But at the same time, going to 36 would be really fascinating to see where I'm at. College closet essentials. Maybe I can make a whole video on that because I definitely dress a certain way for college that I don't dress anywhere else, really. So let me know if you want a whole lookbook on college closet essentials. That's a great title too. I might use that. What's the best thing about California? Never been. Love your channel, by the way. Thank you. The fact that you can drive 2 hours west and be at the ocean, 2 hours east, you're in the mountains, 2 hours south, you're in Yosemite. Not really 2 hours. From where I am anyway, you're like 4 hours from Yosemite. I could drive 8 hours, be in LA. I could drive 3 hours, be in Oregon. I'm 9 hours away from Vegas. So I just think it's so cool what is surrounding me, and it's so beautiful. Like, everywhere you go here is really beautiful, whether it's plains or mountains or ocean or forest or nothing. Like, I just really like every part, every kind of terrain that California has. It literally has everything. So if you like something specifically, you can find it in California. So that's a long ass Q&A, but I really wanted to answer more questions than I usually do, so I hope you don't mind that it's super, super long. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I answered your questions. If not, you can leave them down below and I'll try and get back to you. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye. So definitely been a fan of that. That's night vision binoculars by Passenger.